you just produced an amazing song. I mean, you got the music going, you got the bass, you got the drums, you got the piano strings, and you just finished laying vocals and you're ready to go to the next level by getting your song in the hands of a professional mix engineer. If you're at that point, I say congratulations to you, but there are some do's and don'ts. Like most people, you've already created a pre-mix, which is good for the engineer to get an inspiration from it. But that's not quite how you ascend to a mix engineer, all right? When you are sending your song to a mix engineer, it needs to be as dry as possible. What do you mean by dry as possible? Well, we have different plugins, and inside of Studio One, all you have to do is click this little activate button here and just deactivate each plugin inside of your DAW. Now, after you deactivated each plugin on each track, now what you need to do is bring all volume to unity gain, as well as the panning needs to be centered on each channel. In Studio One, this process is by holding your command button or your Apple button and click on each channel, as it will return to unity gain automatically as you click it. Now, depending on how big your session is, this may take quite some time, but I promise you it will pay off in the long run. Now that you have all of your volume on each channel at unity gain and all of your panning positioned in the center, you are ready to move forward. Now, for those tracks that you have automation going, and it just really depends on what you're doing. Or if you have a channel with a specific plugin that helps make that sound what it is, then by all means, you might want to leave the plugin on that channel. This is something that you can discuss with your engineer. Also, make sure that each track is labeled properly. I cannot stress that enough. If you want a beautiful relationship with your engineer, this is a process that needs to be taken very seriously. If all of your tracks are labeled properly with this proper name, it makes mixing a whole lot smoother. Mixing engineers hate to search for what is what. If we are clicking on a track that says audio 1, audio 22, audio 85, that's a headache, and it will take the process much longer. Now that we are ready to export our song, we can just go here to the top where it says song in our menu section and just go down to where it says export stems. There's a couple of things you need to know about how to export inside of Studio One. Now, this is channels and this is tracks. So first, if we are in channels, you can export everything in regards to the sound, each channel by channel, or you can export things at pack level or pack folder level. Basically, what that is if you see a icon that looks like a sideways pitchfork, you're exporting the entire folder. But in this case, you're going to be exporting each track by track, to give your mixing engineer more control of the mix. So the channels would not be a good option. We want to go on over to the track section where we get everything tracked out. And you can activate or select none. You can select which one you want. So some of the things you want to pay attention to is where you save your files. I think that's very, very important, where you save your files. You may want to create a folder that says tracked out, whatever. So this right here is pretty cool. Studio One gives you a prefix in front of your files. I usually just click, delete. I don't need it. But sometimes Studio One will stem out your, it'll bounce down all your files and giving it some type of name in front of it. I will show you a way to fix that problem. And down here, you definitely want to make sure that all your files pretty much WAV. WAV is the most standard file that you can submit to anybody. All DAWs read WAV files. And, you can leave it at 24-bit or 48 kilohertz or 44.1 is the standard. But that just depends on what you're doing. Or, again, you can speak with your mixing engineer and see what sample rate that you guys will go with. And of course, this right here is a section you want to pay attention to. Pretty much all the sections are very important, but this is the part where you want to pay attention to, because this is where your song will start the bounce and end the bounce. We did not quite set this, so we need to go back and change this. And then right here, you can keep this at preserve mono tracks. Right to tempo is fine. Close after the export. That's what you want to do. But before we go even further, we can do one or two things. We can actually set this loop, and we're telling Studio One to export our session from beginning to end, or we can simply click here and move our end market here to wherever the end of your song is. and then we can go back and achieve what we was doing before. Same thing here, blah, blah, blah. We're going to exit that out. And then we can go and say from start to end marker instead. After you go through this process, you just take all your tracks and reopen a new session just to make sure everything sounds good and nothing is distorted. And if everything is okay, then you're fine. Now, because we deleted that part where it said Elibness right there, the prefix, everything came out the name of the track that we gave it. Now, sometimes Studio One gives it something weird in the beginning, but if that happens, I'm going to show you how to clean that up. Okay, so this is what it would look like if you would have kept the prefix when exporting all of your WAV files in Studio One. Everything would have came with a label in front of them. Now, I know that if you're a mix engineer, this is going to be it's going to still be confusing, even though everything is labeled, but Elib, or whatever you have in front of yours, in front of the file name itself is going to just be like audio 1, audio 2, audio 3. So basically what you want to do, this is what I do. I'll kind of double click on, well, not double click, kind of try to click in and, you know, as if you was to rename that specific file. And I'll take the first prefix, copy that, then click out of it, and then click them all. Then right click, and this should pop up, rename. And I'm going to replace text. There's different options you can choose from, but make sure you're on replace text. Then you're going to paste in what we just copied, and you're going to replace it with nothing. And then we're going to hit rename, and it's going to rename everything and bring everything back to where it's supposed to be. So now wow, that's a better way to read files, and you know what I mean? So at this point, you are pretty much done. So at this point, you know, just want to make sure that your folder reflects the name of the song, obviously. And then you can just, you know, easily right click. Again, I'm not really sure what it is on the PC, but for Mac users, right click and you compress the file, and it would automatically compress this file into a zip file, and the zip file will become the name that we gave the folder. So now we're just ready to send it to our mix engineer. What do we do next? Send it. So a couple of sites that I like to go to when sending big files like this is WeTransfer.com. You can send up to 2 gigs. So all you have to do is drag in your file here for free. And you have the option to pick between sending the link, or you can grab the person's email address and you just put it there. They put your email here. All right. And then write a message or whatever, and then send it on your way. Also, another popular one is Dropbox. I use this a lot. You get about 5 gigabytes free, but you got to sign up for it, and you're on your way, and you're done. This your boy Elib from ksound.com, and remember, music is art. You're the artist. Paint your picture.